Quantum physics proves ancient spirituality. For millennia, mystics, sages, and ancient traditions have spoken of a universe far more mysterious and interconnected than our everyday senses perceive. They've whispered of the power of consciousness, the illusion of separation, and a fundamental unity underlying all existence. For a long time, modern science, rooted in a seemingly solid, predictable Newtonian world, viewed these ideas as fascinating but ultimately unprovable relics of a less enlightened age. But then came the quantum revolution. The world of the very small, the realm of electrons, photons, and quarks, refused to play by the old rules. Instead, it unveiled a reality so bizarre, so counterintuitive, that it has left scientists scratching their heads, and for many, looking back at those ancient spiritual texts with a newfound sense of awe and curiosity. Could it be that these ancient wisdom traditions, without particle accelerators or complex equations, somehow tapped into truths about the universe that we are only now beginning to scientifically grasp? This essay explores the mind-blowing parallels between the cutting edge of quantum physics and the timeless insights of ancient spirituality, suggesting that perhaps, just perhaps, they've been speaking the same fundamental language all along. The crumbling edifice of classical reality. For centuries, the universe felt like a giant clockwork mechanism. Isaac Newton's laws described a world of predictable motion, where cause and effect were clear and everything was made of solid, definite stuff. This classical view was incredibly successful in explaining the macroscopic world, the movement of planets, the trajectory of a cannonball, the falling of an apple. It painted a picture of an objective reality out there, independent of any observer. Consciousness was largely considered a byproduct of the brain, a biological phenomenon that didn't fundamentally influence the fabric of reality itself. Ancient spiritual traditions, however, offered a radically different perspective. Across diverse cultures and time periods, from the Vedic texts of India to the shamanic practices of indigenous peoples, the hermetic principles of ancient Egypt to the contemplative traditions of Buddhism, there was a recurring theme. Reality is not as solid as it seems. They spoke of Maya, the illusion, of the dreamlike nature of existence, and of a deeper, interconnected reality accessible through shifts in consciousness. These were often seen as poetic metaphors or philosophical musings, beautiful perhaps, but not literal descriptions of the universe's fundamental nature. The stage was set for a scientific revolution that would unexpectedly begin to bridge this divide. Enter the quantum realm, where reality gets weirder. The early 20th century saw the birth of quantum physics, a field born out of the necessity to explain the peculiar behavior of light and matter at the atomic and subatomic levels. What scientists discovered was a world that defied classical logic and intuition. Imagine a tiny particle, like an electron. In our everyday world, an object is in one place at a time. But in the quantum realm, an electron can exist in multiple places at once. This is the principle of superposition. It's like a ghost, potentially everywhere and nowhere simultaneously until something changes. Then there's quantum entanglement. Imagine two particles linked together in a special way. If you measure a property of one particle, say its spin, and find it spinning upwards, you instantly know the spin of the other particle, no matter how far away it is. It will be spinning downwards. There's no apparent force connecting them, no signal sent between them faster than light. They are somehow instantaneously correlated, suggesting a deep, non-local connection that defies our classical understanding of space and time. And perhaps the most mind-bending concept for our discussion, the observer effect. In many quantum experiments, the very act of observing or measuring a particle seems to influence its state. Before observation, a particle might exist in a superposition of possibilities, but the moment it's measured, it collapses into a single, definite state. It's as if reality at this fundamental level is not fixed until it interacts with an observer. These discoveries threw the scientific world into a tizzy. How could reality be so strange? How could particles be in multiple places at once? How could seemingly separate entities be instantaneously connected? And what was the role of the observer in all of this? Echoes in the ancient wisdom. As physicists grappled with these profound questions, some began to notice striking parallels with ideas that had been circulating in spiritual and philosophical traditions for thousands of years. Consider the concept of interconnectedness. Quantum entanglement suggests a universe where seemingly separate particles are fundamentally linked, part of a unified whole. This resonates deeply with the core tenets of many spiritual paths that emphasize the interconnectedness of all life, the idea that we are all drops in the same ocean of consciousness or energy. The Sanskrit word namaste, often translated as the divine in me bows to the divine in you, points to this underlying unity. Many indigenous cultures speak of the web of life, where every element, human, animal, plant, and even the elements themselves, is intricately connected and interdependent. Quantum entanglement provides a scientific framework, however mysterious, for understanding how such profound interconnectedness might operate at the most fundamental level of reality. Then there's the idea of reality as not being fixed or solid. The quantum concept of superposition, where a particle exists as a wave of probabilities until observed, mirrors spiritual teachings that describe the material world as impermanent or illusory. The Buddhist concept of anatta, no self, and the Hindu concept of Maya both suggest that our perceived reality is a construct, not the ultimate truth. The universe, from a quantum perspective, is not a collection of discrete solid objects, but a dynamic field of potentiality, much like the descriptions of a universal consciousness or energy field found in various spiritual traditions. The collapse of the wave function upon observation could be seen, metaphorically, as the process by which our consciousness interacts with this field of potentiality to manifest a particular reality. And what about the role of consciousness? The observer effect in quantum mechanics is perhaps the most provocative parallel. The suggestion that consciousness might play a role in shaping reality at the most fundamental level is a radical departure from classical physics, but it is a cornerstone of many ancient spiritual philosophies. These traditions have long held that consciousness is not merely a product of the material world, but is fundamental to it, perhaps even the ground of all being. Meditation, prayer, and other spiritual practices are often aimed at shifting or expanding consciousness to perceive a deeper reality. The idea that as within, so without, that our inner state of being influences our external reality, finds a strange and unexpected echo in the quantum laboratory. Could the observer effect be a tiny glimpse into the profound power of consciousness that mystics have spoken of for millennia? The universal dance of energy and vibration. Beyond specific concepts, both quantum physics and ancient spirituality point towards a universe that is fundamentally energetic and vibrational. Quantum field theory suggests that what we perceive as solid particles are merely excitations or vibrations in underlying quantum fields. Everything at its deepest level is energy in motion. This resonates powerfully with spiritual traditions that describe the universe in terms of energy, chi, prana, or vital force. Practices like acupuncture, Reiki, and yoga are based on the principle of working with the body's energy flows to promote healing and well-being. Mantras and chanting in various traditions utilize sound and vibration to induce altered states of consciousness and connect with higher realms. The idea that different vibrations correspond to different states of reality or consciousness is a common thread in esoteric teachings. Quantum physics, in its description of particles as vibrating strings or excitations in fields, provides a scientific language for this ancient understanding of the universe as a symphony of vibration. Beyond coincidence, exploring the implications. It's important to state clearly that quantum physics does not prove the existence of God, a soul, or any specific religious dogma. Science and spirituality operate in different domains with different methodologies. However, the remarkable convergence of ideas is difficult to dismiss as mere coincidence. One potential implication is that our understanding of consciousness needs a radical revision. If consciousness is not just a passive observer but an active participant in shaping reality, then its study becomes paramount not only for understanding ourselves, but for understanding the universe itself. This aligns with the spiritual emphasis on cultivating consciousness as the key to unlocking deeper truths. Another implication is a potential shift in our worldview from a purely materialistic one to one that embraces a more holistic and interconnected understanding of existence. If everything is fundamentally linked at the quantum level, the illusion of separation, the idea that we are isolated individuals separate from each other and the rest of the universe, begins to dissolve. This has profound ethical and ecological implications, fostering a sense of responsibility and compassion for all beings in the planet. Furthermore, these parallels invite us to reconsider ancient spiritual practices. Could meditation, for example, be more than just a stress reduction technique? Could it be a method for directly experiencing the interconnected, non-local nature of reality that quantum physics hints at? Could practices aimed at cultivating compassion and unity actually be aligning us with the fundamental energetic blueprint of the universe? Navigating the quantum woo and maintaining curiosity. It's crucial to approach these connections with both an open mind and a critical intellect. The overlap between quantum physics and spirituality has unfortunately led to what is sometimes dismissively called quantum woo, the misapplication or exaggeration of quantum concepts to support unfounded spiritual claims. It's easy to fall into the trap of oversimplification or attributing mystical powers to quantum phenomena without rigorous evidence. Quantum physics is incredibly complex and often counterintuitive even for trained physicists. Drawing direct, simplistic lines between quantum equations and spiritual aphorisms can be misleading. However, dismissing the parallels entirely would be equally short-sighted. The value lies not in claiming that quantum physics proves ancient spirituality in a simplistic cause-and-effect manner, but in recognizing the resonance between the cutting edge of scientific discovery and the deepest insights of human spiritual inquiry. Perhaps the ancient mystics, through deep introspection, altered states of consciousness, and perhaps methods of knowing we don't yet fully understand, were able to access aspects of reality that are only now becoming visible to our most advanced scientific instruments. Perhaps science and spirituality are not opposing forces, but two different lenses through which to view the same multifaceted reality, one using empirical measurement and mathematical models, the other using intuition, contemplation, and direct experience. Conclusion: a universe of wonder. The journey into the quantum realm has dismantled our classical notions of a solid, predictable, and separate universe. In its place, it has revealed a reality that is fluid, interconnected, and perhaps intimately tied to consciousness. These revelations, while born from rigorous scientific experimentation and mathematical formulation, echo themes that have been the bedrock of ancient spiritual traditions for millennia. We are standing at a fascinating intersection of science and spirituality, where the language of physics begins to sound surprisingly like the language of the mystics. While the exact nature of the relationship between quantum phenomena and consciousness, or the ultimate implications of entanglement for our understanding of reality, are still subjects of intense debate and research, the parallels are undeniable and profoundly thought-provoking. This isn't about replacing science with spirituality or vice versa. It's about recognizing that both are valuable ways of exploring the mysteries of existence. The journey into the quantum world is, in a way, a scientific pilgrimage into the heart of reality, a journey that the ancient spiritual traditions embarked upon through different means. And as we delve deeper into the bizarre and beautiful nature of the universe, we may find that the most advanced science is leading us back to the most ancient wisdom, revealing a universe that is not just stranger than we imagine, but perhaps more alive, more interconnected, and more profoundly influenced by consciousness than we have ever dared to believe. The universe, it seems, is not just a collection of dead matter, but a dynamic, unified field of possibility, waiting for us to fully awaken to our place within its awe-inspiring dance. And that truly is mind-blowing.